Hello. Good afternoon. Okay, so we all know that 2020 sucked. I mean, come on. We couldn't go outside. We couldn't see loved ones. We've lost loved ones. We lost Kobe. We lost Chadwick. Wakanda forever, man. We were bored out of our minds. Like, come on. Like, I was talking to myself. Like, Some of us, quote unquote, forgot to take a shower, and some of us gained weight. Me. But did 2020 suck as much as you think? Come on, there were many benefits. Let me give you one. We got TikTok, which was a great place for people to spread joy, laughter, and positivity across the world. And because of this app, we were able to get our voices/opinions heard, and we're able to change the world just a little bit. Not in a big way, but we have somewhere to start. Um, and we're here to share our silver linings with you. So sit back, enjoy while we share them with you.
You know what I never had before 2020? My own garden. I always thought that it would be a cute idea, but it required being present more than I was able to be. Before 2020, I made some attempts. I bought pots and dirt. I planned to buy seeds on my way home from work, but it became a task that I rescheduled weekly. Life outside my home moved so quick that when I got home, all I wanted to do was collapse. Someone even gave me a cactus once. Foolproof, right? Wrong. Who kills a cactus? Well, I just couldn't find time for it. Then 2020 came and boom! All I had was time. It was like the ringing in your ear when there is total silence. Time. After I tired of scrolling and exhausted all the good shows, I looked at my yard and I started to see potential. I plucked out the grass and treated the dirt. I got some vegetable plants, tomatoes, peppers, and some seeds for spices, and I nurtured them. I developed a routine in the morning and I watched them grow. I gave myself time to admire them, and in the process, I became proud of myself. Because it wasn't 2020 that provided me time, but it forced me to acknowledge and make use of the time that I already had. And all I needed was an opportunity. 2020 was that beginning. A green thumb is my silver lining.
This whole world crisis had just occurred and basically limited all standards of living normal in a normal way and having to go through normal process of daily life. I was just in the process of finding my first ever job. Just fresh off of graduating high school, just the year prior. I was about to enter the real world, which is how people display it as all for fighting for self, finding ways to survive. It's like a survival game, survival mode, all times. And growing up, most of the things I have had in my life growing up was, I got to be a little bit honest, was given. And sometimes I begged a lot. But I truly and honestly never understood how it was to earn something in terms of a financial situation. I worked hard at many things. I was punished for not having certain things. I was punished and not allowed to have certain things, whenever I did something wrong. But I truly and honestly never really understood what it was to earn it. To put in the time and the effort and the work and the dedication on to earn it. So any young person will do in today's world, or in any world, past, present, future, I went out to search for my own personal sources of income and value. And I was ready for it. I applied to anything I could get my hands on, and I loved the whole process because it was my first taste of what responsibility could truly honestly be like going forward in life, you know, if I don't die. Well, I'm going to die, but hey. Um, After all those times of being stepped over and treated like a little ass kid, just giving this, giving that, and stuff like that, like, um, I was hype about this process, and then, like, the Bronx Zoo came along. The Bronx Zoo came along, and they hired me right on the spot, and I could just remember how nervous I was the first time going into it, because I was so scared that, like, one mistake could just ruin everything for me being at the job, and, like, I'm not a really confident person, so it gets scary. But as I started to get the, like, the best of things and stuff like that, it was crazy. But even before all of that, actually, like, it looked like everything was heading in the upwards trend, and then the city goes into a strict ass lockdown. So a whole 3.5 months I had to wait until I could officially start it. And when I did get into it again, I was so scared and stuff, because I was afraid about all the rules, determination and stuff like that, what could get you kicked out the job. But as things start to get better and better over time, I start to understand the process. My thing with all of this is, like, I start to embrace the value of hard work and the value of putting in the effort to really and actually earn something instead of being given, because there's a difference between being given it and being earned it. When you're giving it, it's just like, you kind of put yourself in a state of mind of being laid back, like, you feel like it's going to always be handed to you, so you got nothing to worry about. You don't got to put no kind of energy into it. But the thing is, there's beauty within having to put in a certain amount of energy in order to get out what you want, like, whether it's energy that could be harmful, which I hope it doesn't have to be like that, or energy that, sees you constantly being on alert and things like that, just to earn hard-earned currency. That's all that it is, just currency, no matter what, whether it's a dollar, a euro, a peso, whatsoever, like anything. And I think that's what this whole lockdown thing kind of taught me, because, like, I was urgent, I was ready for it, I was willing to do whatever I could do. Like, it does get tiring, but the moment I went into it, it was amazing, man. And that's what I basically took out this whole time of being on lockdown. The moment I got to finally go outside again a little bit and just work, even though things were limited, I really got to see from the workers' perspective how it is to, like, do what they do and the things that they have to go through, both good and bad, in order just to earn one single dollar.
So, quarantine started around March of 2020. About 5 months before then, I had just moved in with 4 people. That was my first time in 4 years that I had ever had a roommate, yet alone 4 of them. These people were already my coworkers and already great friends, and I truly don't think I would have kept my sanity without having them. As someone who enjoys my peace and my solitude, I was skeptical about living with people, but it was honestly the best decision I could have made. A lot of people were able to go home during many months of quarantine. That wasn't very easy for me. My father lives in Nairobi, Kenya. My mom is in Miami. And I never lived in either one of those places. And I couldn't let my first time to be during the pandemic. Most of my friends live in Dallas. But I never wanted to impose myself or end up overstaying my welcome. Plus, I would end up missing my bed too much. So, I stayed in New York City. I stayed with my roommates, who became my family. We played board games from sunup to sundown. We watched TV shows together, Tiger King, The Bachelor. We even had ourselves a Harry Potter marathon, #Team Hogwarts. We cooked together. We had arguments like any family does, but they only brought us closer together. During a time when it was easy to be lonely, they were the company I never knew I needed. You know what they say, your mom, your dad, your siblings. They are the family that was given to you. But your friends, those are the family you choose. And I'm happy I chose them. They are my silver lining.
As the spring of 2020 approached, I was going through some serious changes in my life. Graduating from law school, studying for the bar exam, starting a new job at the Bronx Defenders, moving from California to New York City, and entering a long-distance relationship with my partner, who I had been living with for 2 years in California. I was on the precipice of all of these really big changes, and then the world changed in an even bigger way. Where would I live? Where would I work? Would my work be in person anytime soon? The answer was no. But with all of this uncertainty came a huge bright spot. I got to spend time with the people I loved in ways I never could have as a first-year public defender, had I been working in person throughout the year. Over the summer, I lived with my parents, spending more time with them than as an adult than I had in years. And in the fall, I moved to Pittsburgh for about 5 months and lived with my partner, cutting down our year-long plan to be in a long-distance relationship to about half that time. 2020 took so much from so many, but 2020 gave me that. 2020 gave me time to be with, to mourn with, to live with the people that I love. And if that is not a silver lining, I am not so sure what is.
Oh, it's my turn, the one that y'all been waiting for. Before all this started, my life was actually not going well. It felt like I couldn't take a break. Some things kept happening at a speed where I cannot process anything. I couldn't process how I was feeling, how others were feeling, and how I could go into the situation a smarter way. Thankfully, quarantine happened. For a lot of people, this pandemic was the worst thing that has ever happened to them. But to me, it was a time for me to stop and learn about myself. I reflected on years and years of my life. I started to see things that I did right and things that I did wrong. I did different things that I believe would make me a better person. Reading the Bible, skincare, and hopefully exercising. Still working on that one. But I started to use these things in my everyday life, and it made me a better person. I always thought that when you grow up, you lose your imagination and become a boring adult. I mean, like, some of y'all can relate to that one. Sorry. But I realized that growing up means becoming a better version of yourself and loving yourself enough to want to do better for yourself. This was my silver lining for 2020, and I thought that I was the only one with these silver linings, but I'm happy to see that I'm not alone. What was your silver linings?